Stonehenge. For thousands of years, one of the world's great archaeological enigmas. Now, one man has come up with radical new thinking that may explain why and by whom this fabulous monument was built. Anthropologist Lionel Sims began by trying to understand what changes were going on in prehistoric society as Europe emerged from the last ice age, and how man's beliefs were affected. Studies of present-day societies, combined with fresh archaeological evidence from across northern Europe, have led Sims to a startling theory that Stonehenge was built not simply to celebrate the sun, but to worship a much older force, the moon. In rediscovering Stonehenge's purpose, Sims comes to the conclusion that this ancient monument represents a major milestone on the road to the modern world. Sunrise at Stonehenge on the summer solstice, the longest day of the year. Great crowds gather at this mystical site to celebrate the event. It's now the 21st century, and following what is thought to be an ancient tradition has become a global phenomenon.
Well, this place is completely mysterious. We don't know if our ancestors came here for a dance.
I just feel a really good vibe whenever I come here.
People have been coming here in this time of the year, centuries and centuries.
So what they completely did here to us is almost a mystery.
The unraveling of that mystery begins with some fundamental questions, not least of which is, what did the people who built Stonehenge believe in? A structure of this scale and antiquity almost certainly had a major spiritual significance to those that built it. Construction began on the Stonehenge site over 5,000 years ago. It continued on and off for 1,500 years in 3 distinct phases, each of which involved dismantling the previous structure. Some of the huge stones were transported hundreds of miles from the Preseli Mountains in Wales to the monument site on Salisbury Plain in southwest England. But the mechanics of Stonehenge don't help to explain what drove a community to expend so much time and energy in building such a structure. Whatever its purpose, Druid temple, Neolithic planetarium, temple to human sacrifice, whoever built it meant business.
From the moment it was conceived, Stonehenge had a meaning to the people who built it.
And that meaning would have been tied to the prevailing belief system, commonly held to have been based on the worship of the sun. Conventional archaeology generally concludes that the key purpose to Stonehenge is solar. Its function is seen as part temple to the sun, part solar calendar. The thousands who still gather to witness midsummer sunrise are carrying on a tradition that many believe dates back to the origins of Stonehenge. But does it? In the popular imagination, the connection between Stonehenge and sun worship has its roots in the pre-Christian Druid movement. So did the Druids build Stonehenge as a spectacular temple to the sun? It seems highly unlikely. The first record of the Druids is no earlier than the 3rd century BC, over 1,000 years after Stonehenge was at its zenith. Julius Caesar is the principal source of information about the Druids, whom he came across in Gaul. The Roman classics describe how their sacred sites were clearings in forests, not massive man-made monuments. It's clear that if the Druids ever had anything to do with Stonehenge, it was after finding it in its current abandoned state.
This is a place of power. Any place that is used for a long time for a spiritual purpose or for any other common purpose builds up its own power. And this is really the spiritual centre of England.